Deep in space, 2 centuries ago, decisive battle between the forces of good and evil was fought. The brave space knights of Galador defeated the evil sorcery and super science of the Dire Wraiths and scattered them to the furthest reaches of the galaxy. Now in the present day, their eternal struggle has spilled over to Earth. Rome, greatest of the space knights, has arrived in Claritin, a small West Virginia town. Frightened by the arrival of a 7-foot alien, the people of Claritin have called the National Guard. Can Rome convince those he came to save? The true enemy resides in their very ranks. Rome, Volume 1, Issue 1, Arrival. The comet appeared out of nowhere, catching Earth's early warning systems off guard. If it comes, a comet ground-based radar tracked it down, losing it finally in the lower altitude over West Virginia. A seismograph registers impact in the Allegheny Mountains. Tomorrow, somebody from the university will investigate. If there is a tomorrow by then, it may already be too late. The crater glows white hot. The Earth itself has crystallized from the impact, but the armored giant emerges unscathed from the inferno. He is here. Arrival. It is Rome, the greatest of the space knights, clad in his iconic armor and wielding a powerful energy weapon. But where is he? To his right, he senses the surge of electrical power harnessed to give heat and light. This world then harbors intelligence. To his left, he notes gentle mountains worn down by the ages. This world is neither old, as he knows time, nor as young. Then the car approaches. He does not know what to call that. Of course, along the ribbon of a rock across which he stands, the pale headlights beams, pale to one who has seen to the hearts of stars, illuminate his armor. He watches them advance, standing his ground, and he starts to speak. But it is then he senses the fear, the horror in the mind of a being guiding the vehicle. As a young female, Brandy Clark says, "Someone standing in the road, oh my! Someone standing in the road, oh my!" The car screeches, trying to get out of the way, but it is headed for an immediate impact with this being. For the briefest of seconds, he stands puzzled. The being makes no effort to save itself. Then he understands it cannot. But the arrival of the Space Knight holds the car up in an impossible way for any human to do. Rome, the Space Knight, knows that danger has passed, yet he still fears and senses fear in the being. Brandy Clark says, Who are you? What do you want? Please, I don't want this to be happening. Go away, leave me alone." As Rome thinks to himself, its fear seems genuine. Perhaps that being is what it appears to be, but appearances can be deceiving. There's only one way to be sure. He summons from subspace the energy analyzer as he shoots this beam towards the lady. Against the corona of the analyzed ray, the being stands revealed. She is a woman of the race called on this world Homo sapiens, and as her terror gives way to wonderment, he knows that she is not the enemy. Yet the enemy is here, there's no doubt of it, for he has tracked the Dire Wraiths across the cosmos to this world. As now the young lady is figuring out, Rome does not want to harm her, but she is still scared. Rome thinks to himself he will seek out the enemy wherever they may hide, for such is his duty and his most fervent desire. But whereas he sees his mission with crystal clarity, he leaves behind one who knows only one thing, that an alien walks the earth. The only comfort and thought in that for the terrified Brandy Clark is that soon she will not be the only one to know it. We are in a small town, Claritin, in West Virginia. The city population is 14,000. Claritin is a friendly town where everyone's got a pleasant word for everyone else. Claritin is the kind of place where nothing out of the ordinary ever happens until today, as the whole town is shocked to see Rome. As the town is trying to guess what he is a robot monster. Is he a monster? Is he a robot? Is he a promotional stunt? Rome, the Space Knight, again senses the panic that his sudden arrival has engineered in these beings. He also senses that the evil he seeks is close at hand. Some of these humans are Dire Wraiths in disguise, and the rest of the crowd begins to back away from the armored unknown. Even as he's still trembling, Brandy Clark arrives on the scene. The crowd is panicking. He's making something appear, something kind of out of a weapon. He is using his analyzer to discern who is human and who is a Dire Wraith. The two Dire Wraiths disguised as humans says his energizer analyzer will not harm them. Its only a function is to reveal the truth about us. There's nowhere for us to run, no place to hide. As Rome, the Space Knight, from the deep beyond his visor headpiece, Rome eyes burned with a baleful brilliance. Then, even as the energy analyzer vanishes from his one hand, his neutralizer appears in the other, and it's perfectly and swiftly revealed and eliminating and disintegrating the Dire Wraiths. The small townspeople think that Rome killed two of their citizens, that he disintegrated them where they stood because they knew them as Mike Collins and Perry Skykes. They are calling Rome the robot killer. In the object of terror, the population flees. There is no telling who he'll kill next, thinks the small townspeople. But the woman, the same being that Rome first encountered upon his arrival, has not taken flight. There is much about the behavior of her fellow humans that Rome must know. The woman shall explain, as Brandy Clark says, "What do you want of me? Why did you save me from crashing out there on the road and then come here and murder in cold blood two men I've known all my life? What are you doing? No, please, I must have been insane trying to communicate with you. You are a murderer, a monster. Don't touch me." At that moment, elsewhere in Claritin, Mayor Bradford says there's a robot, a big robot, and he's invaded town, killed two people already, and he wants to speak to the governor. The mayor does not understand why the governor will not send help, but things start to become more clear. In the telephone office, the townspeople are finding contacting the proper authorities considered less difficult as the Dire Wraiths control the phone systems. Now the Dire Wraiths will call their own help in with their own scenario to stop Rome. Washington. The Dire Straits talk to General Andrews as the Dire Wraiths are implemented in many parts and many high places around the United States and the world. Now General Andrews, a Dire Wraith in Washington, will send help. The National Guard will be dispatched to Claritin immediately, and some of our people will be among them. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of Claritin, Brandy asks, "Why have you brought me here? What are you doing to me now? Just kill me." Rome's only answer is to pull out another device from hyperspace. "Do not fear. The translator enables us to communicate." Rome tells Brandy, "Those I neutralized were not human. Nonetheless, they only appear to be humans. They might dwell unsuspected among your race. They are the enemy I seek, the Dire Wraiths, the legend of the Space Knights. 200 years ago, as you know, time on my home planet, the paradise world of Galador, was at the peak of a golden age of peace and prosperity. The vast Galadorian armada soared through the space, bringing the light of knowledge to the darkest recesses of the galaxy. War was unknown for the countless centuries. We had been welcomed, not with fear or prejudice, but with a joyous thanksgiving as bearers of health and knowledge, opening the way to a better life. But it was an expecting welcoming whenever we went that we made our greatest error. We went to the dark nebula. This was uncharted space. Here there are monsters, but we believe we could bring peace, bring offerings of technologies and philosophies. We had nothing to fear, but the Dire Wraiths had other ideas. They wanted to bring their gifts of light into our dark nebula. The Wrath Lord from the Dire Wraiths says, "Let the fools come. There are forces at work within the dark nebula that will play havoc with their instruments." The Dire Wraiths attacked from behind. The Armada formed a space sphere, bristling ring of force against which our enemy hurled wave after wave of screaming wing fighters. Proud ships of the line fell before withering enemy firepower. Yet as long as a defensive sheer could be maintained, the Armada soldiered on, withdrawing from the dark nebula. The Dark Lord of the Dark Wraiths says the Galadorians seek to retreat, but driving them from the dark web is only half the victory. We must crush the Galadorians' Armada and the accursed Galador himself. Now let the sorceress summon forth all-consuming Deathwing. The last message received from the Galador Armada told of a dark force, a horrible omniverse-shaped entity that blocked out the stars, even as it hopefully shattered the defensive spear, exposing the Armada to the Wrath warships. Yet rather than attack our helpless Armada, the enemy ships fled themselves in horror from the creatures of their own creation. But there was no salvation in the flight of the Galadorians. The creatures' eyes locked onto their ships, filling their hearts with horror, their souls with numbing darkness, even as the chill vapor of its breath sapped the very flesh from their bones. Such was the tale of terror that spread through the space received on our far-flung Galador days later. The whole Armada was destroyed, and people of Galador knew, but there was no panic. They came to hear what must be done to save our world. But many do not know what they can do to save the world. They monitor their enemies' approach. Even now, the enemies are coming closer. Galador has a chance. The Prime Directive director says I must send forth a call. Whoever would sacrifice his humanity to save Galador, let him come forward in our darkest hour. As the people listen in shock, the herald explains what the prime director asks. I do not know if I can explain to you the trauma of asking a populace that reveres the life as holy to sacrifice their own humanity. They accept their herald's words in silence. Some averted their eyes. No one among them wished to be the first to give up all he or she cherished. Yet each of us knew what had to be done. The one person who raised his hand first was Rome. He says, I offer my life to save Galador's. After the first hand was raised, millions volunteered. Only a few of those millions were chosen. I was fortunate, for I was among them, says Rome. An army will be built from the bravest, the strongest, and noblest of the youth of Galador to save their beloved humanity. Yet what choice was there? Galador, a world that had given us life, taught us to cherish our humanity, was endangered, and only the hail of science could force a weapon to save it, a weapon that was us. It was cold under the laser knives of the surgeons. We lay on the slabs feeling meaty and healing and watched our humanity grafted bit by bit onto unfeeling suits of armor. And one day our enemies appeared in the sky over Galador. We were ready. The surgery was complete and we assembled. We were no longer humans. We assembled the Space Knights. As the director says, all Galador looks for your salvation, my brave children. Go forth and greet the foe with the fire in your hearts. Crafted aloud in blazing rocket pods, each brandishing a different weapon attuned to his or her cyborg form. The Space Knights streamed forth from shining Galador. There were many raft ships and few of us, but we formed a line in space determined to repulse the dark enemy or die in the trying. The fighting was fierce, savage. My senses reneged with the screams, the dying with the searing laser fire. For every dire raft ship that fell, it seemed that two more took its place. But the Space Knights would not retreat, and finally, seeing there was no defeating us, the enemy summoned forth the scourge of the Galador Aramanda. Against all odds, we faced the dreaded Swallower of the Stars. Dozens of Space Knights died, yet we held our ground until at last our combined might struck back at the demon of the dark nebula, and in the soul-searching battle by the hand of the Space Knights, the monster fell. The bravery of Rome, as all of Galadorians said, hail Rome, as they call Rome the greatest of the Space Knights. Yet Rome says, yet the enemy is only routed, not defeated. Our mission cannot truly be said to be over until the last of the Dire Wraiths has been hunted to the very end of the galaxy and cast into limbo. Only when we have fulfilled our mission will the quest be over. Only then may we reclaim our lost humanity. Thus for 2 centuries I pursued the Dire Wraiths across the silent space waves, and now my quest has led me here. Brandy Clark then says, you're saying those people you killed, or whatever it was called, you call them? Rome says, yes. The supposed people I killed were called the Dire Wraiths, and they are in disguise. They were not humans. The Dire Wraiths have diabolical ability to disguise themselves as any living creature. They have hidden among you here on Earth, but reveal the glow of my energy analyzer. They appear as the evil source's entities they truly are, until my neutralizer banishes them to the dark dimension of limbo. Brandy Clark says, look, Mr. Rome, you're asking me to take the word of a giant alien that people I've known all my life aren't people at all, but some kind of sinister spooks. Rome says then, did you not see the rafts revealed when I banished them to limbo? Brandy says, all I saw was 2 people die horribly in flames. Rome says, wait, can it be my analyzer reveals the truth to my cyborg eyes alone? Perhaps that is why humans fled in terror. To me, the enemy was clear, but to human eyes, it must have seen that I am an alien monster and slain their neighbors. Just as Brandy Clark says she believes Rome, the National Guards pulls up and starts shooting at Rome. As the tanks roll up, they immediately see Rome as a threat, believing he's got the girl, and they prepare to fire again. Rome says, move away from me, woman of Earth, before your rescuers fire their weapons again. They should not have been able to find him so quickly unless they were aided by Wrath technology. Rome says my energy analyzer shall soon reveal the truth, but as Rome summons his analyzer from subspace, certain individuals among the watching humans point to his action as the indication of overt hostility. The Dire Wraiths discuss as humans try to convince the governor and the other soldiers that Rome has a death ray and they will kill them all. For perhaps the space of a single heartbeat, Rome is lost to the soldiers' view as the fierce. Fusillade pounds the hillside and they open fire with everything they have on Rome. Bazookas, tanks, right at Rome. But it's only when Rome emerges from the gunpowder haze that the West Virginia Union of the National Guard realize their attack has no effect. Rome breaks the tanks in half and asks, "Why do you attack me, humans, when those who would harm us both reside within your ranks?" The soldiers run away as they see the power of Rome. One soldier said, "Shells have no effect on him, but what about flames?" As Rome answers, "I have flown near the stars, humans. Your pale, pitiful fire cannot harm me." As the alien is beating the soldiers, the Dire Wraiths comes up with a plan. Because the humans do not have enough firepower to destroy Rome, the Dire Wraiths think to themselves, "We must intervene ourselves." Rome says, "Still the humans persist in attacking me. I'm trying to save them from a greater evil than they can ever dream. I may be forced to harm them. Keep firing. We've got to draw the monsters away from the retreating tank crews." The soldiers say. Another soldier responds, "Yeah, but what do we do now? He's headed towards us." The machine gun fires right into Rome, but little good does it do as the soldier flees also. The soldier says, "There's nothing that can stop that monster. He's sure to have shrugged off everything we've thrown at him." Another soldier adds, "And one of the Dire Wraiths was disguised as a human as well. He won't shrug this off." The soldier then, who is the Dire Wraith, directs and fires a special gun at Rome. The pain washing over Rome's circuits and nerve system in waves of fire. "It can only be a wrath weapon wielded by a wrath in human disguise," says Rome. The Dire Wraith responds, "That is the truth. You will never live to reveal this, Galadorian." Rome then turns to the Dire Wraiths and shoots, "And that a lie you will carry with you to limbo." Wrath, as a wrath is banished, but the humans just see Rome disintegrating a soldier. But the captain then says, "Retreat." But even as Rome advances toward the withdrawing troops, Brandy Clark decides which side she is on. Brandy thinks to herself, "The weapon they attacked Rome with is like no gun I've ever seen on Earth. If only I can show it to the commanding officer of the National Guard." But then one of the Dire Wraiths grabs her. Mr. Jenks, another Dire Wraith in disguise, wants to hold Brandy while it grabs the distributor gun. Now she truly figures out they are the Wraiths. Brandy screams out, "Rome, look out!" As Rome says, the Earth woman crying and warning she believes the tale I told her, and in believing she has saved me from destruction. As Brandy says, "The ray destroyed them all. Was Rome's story true? Have I done the right thing?" As a Dire Wraith thinks, "You must have done the right thing for humans, your race, but the dearest people will not forget you sided with Rome." As Rome leaves, because this sector is cleared of the Dire Wraiths, but his quest goes on. As Brandy thinks to herself, "He's gone without a word of thanks, leaving me with all my doubts." The news hits the general in Washington. He informs Dire Wraith, saying, "You know what must be done." The Dire Wraith in clarity responds, "Yes, I know. All of the people must be warned that Rome has arrived on Earth, but the use of hearing Claritin is at an end. I can best serve my Wraith lords in another place in another disguise." As a chill breezes lifts, the transformed blackbird vanishes into the night. Tomorrow will be a new beginning. The Dire Wraiths are aware that Rome is on Earth to hunt them. Next issue, Rome, Volume 1, Issue 2, By Love Betrayed.